Hi everyone. Welcome to the fifth identity server community call today. As usual, we have lined up several discussions and few colleagues from our identity server team uh, joining this discussion. So I'll start with the identity server community call Git repo. So if you new to this community call, uh, you can come to this identity server community call Git repo. So all the other people who joined the call previously know this repo and what is available here. So in this community call page, you can find the links to the previous community call, the call notes and everything available in these links. Below the call notes section, we can see the links to the page identity server. So this is the identity server page. So where here you can find the links to download the product, or the documentation, the links to communities, and everything is available here. So if you are new, please go to this link and get the identity server right and find the other resources as well. So in next, we have the link to Slack channel. So there we have several discussions for the identity server release and another thread to discuss uh, the development aspect. So you can join to our identity server Slack channel and discuss anything about the product or any questions or concerns you have. So the committee around the identity server is in this Slack. So they will help you to figure out any concerns or questions you have and how to solve this thing. And even you can contribute to the development aspects of the product as well. Next, we have a link to our Twitter account, and in the next we have link to identity server blogs. There we collect all the blogs that identity server developers write. So if you go to these links, you can find those blogs. Some are about the identity server or IAM concepts like that. So you can find those information there. Then we have linked to IAM for developer meetups that we do all around the world. So you can join those developer meetups and join with us to discuss about identity and access management and about identity server as well. So if I go to the today's agenda, right? So we have lined up three items. First, we will discuss about the VS Code plugin we have developed, and then we have developed a CLI tool to export the user information. Then at the end, we will discuss about the adaptive authentication scenarios that we can implement using identity server. So these are the things we have lined up today. Before that, I have picked several blogs that we have written in the last month. First, I pick this article. It was written by Prabhat. So let me load it. So this is in this article, Prabhat is trying to discuss or give his opinion about the CIA, right? So there are different definition around CIA. So most common one is customer identity and access management, where we manage the customer identities. But Prabhat look at in a different angle. So in this article at the end, he describe customer CIA as is a customer-focused identity discipline that facilitates leveraging identity data with business data to catalyze business growth. So, most of the time, even if we design the solution for the customers, there we have not only the customers, we have our internal employees as well. So basically, we build the solution, focus the customers, but we are managing different identities. So we have to define CIA as a customer focus, but there should be different features to address the other identity requirements as well. So that's why Prabhat has came up with definition. So he discussed more about that in his blog. So it's something I think you should visit and see what his thoughts on that. In the next blog, that is also from the Prabhat. So in this blog, Prabhat discussed about the adaptive authentication flows with identity server. So advanced use cases, how the advanced adaptive authentication use cases you can build using WSO2 identity server. In today also we have a discussion about the adaptive authentication and different use cases. So in both places we discuss different use cases. So we can think kind of a continuation of this blog in today's discussion. The next block I select, this is from Tarindu. So most of the time to troubleshoot the identity server or any product, we have to rely on the logs, right? So in this article, this is kind of article which help you to extend the identity server. So he discussed how to write a custom log appender to identity server. So if you have a requirement to publish the identity server logs to the external system or do any other kind of processing, you can use this approach. So this is something written by Tarindu. So if you have that kind of requirement, please go through this blog and there's a sample also there. So you can use it to extend the identity server capabilities. So these are the three blogs I want to highlight from this month blog series. So and even if you go to our identity server blog repository, you can find the other blogs we have written. And then I want to share another thing with you. WSO2 is a sponsor of the Internet Identity Workshop, right? So if you don't know about the Internet Identity Workshop, this bit about it. So normally Internet Identity Workshop used to be a physical event. It happened twice a year since 2005. It was held in the Computer History Museum in Mountain View. Unfortunately, this time you may not get the chance to join the physical event, but they are doing a virtual event in October 20 to 22 in this year. So you can join this virtual event. So they discuss about things such as self-sovereign identities, blockchain-based identities, and those kind of topics. And apart from those topics, there are discussions about the identity standards such as OAuth, OpenID Connect, UMA, FIDO. There are a lot of discussions happening there. And the format of this Internet Identity Workshop is kind of an unconference, which means there's no defined agenda or defined set of discussions. You can go there and you can form discussions and discuss those things. So this is the format of internet identity workshop. The good thing today is we have a discount code. So we will share that discount code with you guys today. So it should be available in the YouTube description. So until end of this community call today, we will keep it there. After that, definitely we have to remove it. But until we end this session today, you can see it and get that code. So I think worth joining this conference and participate with these discussions, and you can contribute to the discussions, and you also can learn a lot of things from there. So those are the initial things I want to share with you guys before we start today's discussion. So our first discussion is about the VS Code plugin for Identity Server. So this plugin help you to connect to the Identity Server via your VS Code and try to debug the authentication flows, right? Most of the time, what we do with the previous identity server versions or the other products, we have to rely on the logs or the error messages and to figure out what is happening within the flows, right? With this extension, you get the capability to join to connect with the identity server and debug the authentication flows and see what is happening underneath. So I'm not going to discuss further on this thing. So we have Kugan today with us. He will discuss more about this plugin. So Kugan, over to you.
Thanks, Isara. I'll share my screen first.
Okay, let me stop. Yeah, you can share the screen now, Kugan.
Okay. So before diving into the VS Code session, I'll talk a little bit about the developer journey in terms of identity and access management perspective. So let's think the developer has some business requirement to create a, say like web application or a mobile application or a desktop application. First, he will use WSO2 to create a new project for the application that he need to develop. Then he will develop his main business functionality done to a certain level. Now, obviously, he needs to add the locking capabilities in order to secure his applications. But developer has little bit of concerns on underlying protocols of the securing this app. So he will be willing to get this done quickly and get back to on his core logic. So he may have some requirements to uh, improve and validate the locking flows, as well as he wanted to add some further strong adaptive authentication as well as social authentication to his uh, application. So in the end, developer will finish the development and he will hand over to the QA. So this is the developer journey in terms of identity access management. So let's see how identity and access management tools come into this perspectives. So WSO2 identity and access management team has provided multiple tools such as command line interface, VS Code plugin, SDKs, and Git integration to uh, enhance this developer story. So uh, let's see how this come into the picture. So to create a new project with the security added, they can use the IAM command line interface and VS Code plugin. So to add login capabilities and security, they can leverage the SDKs that we provide to improve and validate the login and logout flow. Um, VS Code plugin comes into this picture. So VS Code plugin support to update the adaptive authentication script as well as service providers. So VS Code using the VS Code plugin, you could be able to debug the authentication flow. So uh, since this session is more focused on VS Code plugin, uh, I will give the capabilities of the VS Code plugin. So using the VS Code plugin, you could be able to connect to the identity server, and you could be able to fetch the service provider, and you could be able to visualize that service provider into a diagram. So then when you do the authentication flows, you could be able to debug that flows. Now the extension supports debugging SAML authentication flows as well as OADC authentication flows. So uh, so first I will show how to install this one, this identity server. So if you go to uh, WSO2 extension by searching, um, so you could be able to end up in this repo, and there, if you search for VS Code plugin, you could be able to see this repo. So here you have the description of this identity VS Code plugin. So in the tags, you could be able to see the latest releases. So uh, this is the latest release. So there's a file called vs.ix file. So if you download this file, then you have downloaded this extension. So I already downloaded this extension. So so I also how to install this one. So if you go here, you could be able to see this apps icon. So then if you see here, like there's a option to install the install using VSIX file. So if you click there, then you could be able to select this file and install. So I already installed, so I am not going on this flow. So then what you have to do is uh, you have to go to the management console, and you have to create a service provider. Uh, so service provider can be in any name, but what you have to do is after creating the service provider, you have to add the like this. So I have given the all the description here, so you can see it in the README file. So after create updated, you will be end up with client secret and the client key. This will be used to communicate to the identity server from the VS Code plugin. So first, then I will show the how to code the VS Code plugin. So if you install this plugin, you will get this icon here. So first it will show a window with you have to enter the fully qualified URL, tenant qualified URL. Then you have to enter the client ID and the client secret. So I will first copy the client ID and then the client secret. And it will redirect to a page where you have to log in. So I will try to log in. So now it prompts that success. So you could be able to see the screen with the service providers that you have created. And so when you a click a service provider, then it will generate the uh, diagram view of this service provider. So as well as uh, adaptive authentication script. So if you see this, so this is the OAuth application as well as this is the adaptive authentication script for this uh, application. So I will I will start a debug session for this OAuth tab, and let's see how we can debug this authentication flow. So I will start the debug session. So I am using the pickup dispatch app, which is a sample app for the OIDC flow. So first I will initiate the login. So you could be able to see the request sent. So this is the authorization request, and authorization endpoint will be hit. So you could see the request, what are the parameters you have sent. And so if you are a developer, you don't need to debug, put any logs to do this. So uh, this is the response type, and you could be able to see the redirect URL and the scope. So I will uh, I will try to log in. So authorization response have been given, and then token endpoint will be invoked by the app. So using the code. Uh, so if you see the response, you could be able to see the response. Then if you want to see the token endpoint request, you could be able to see the parameters, request parameters, as well as you could be able to see the ID token decoded. So this is decoded to give the best experience to the developer. So this is so I will do the SAML flow as well. If you click the service provider, there are service providers. So if you click the service provider for the SAML application, you could be able to see the SAML diagram. So then you have to first start the debug session. So first start the debugging, and let's initiate the SAML flow. Let's try to log in. So you would be able to see the SAML request. So you would be able to see the SAML request in a very clear format. So you could be able to see what is the request you have sent without doing any logs. So then so after logging in, you could be able to see the response. So So if you're a developer, you have to do some sample tracer or like other tools. So these tools come in handy for the developer to debug all the flaws with the parameter in a nicely diagram view. So uh, that's it for the demo. So over to you, Isar.
Okay, thank you, Kogan. So then our next session is about uh, CLI tool, which can be used to synchronize user identities. Uh, Basically, the CLI tool which can use to export the user information, and so you can use these exported details to other platforms. So you may wonder why we need this kind of CLI tool to export the user information. We can use the protocols such as Skim and automatically do the provisioning, right? So, but the thing is, still there are applications we can't do this kind of automated provisioning. They want to import the users. So when we do a complete integrated platform, so we may have to sync the user information between different applications and do these kind of things. So for that purpose, we need to get the user information from the identity management solution and give that user information to the other application which require those information. So in that perspective, we need this kind of tools to export the user's information from the IAM solution. So in that case, we can use this uh, tool. So today, Maven discuss about this CLI tool, and then he will do a demonstration using this tool. So he will export the identity information from the product, and will show you how we can import this information to other platforms. So Maven, over to you.
Thank you, Ishara. So I will share my screen. Yeah. So hi everyone. I am Mevan, joining from Sri Lanka. Uh, I am working as a software engineer in WSO2 identity server team. So today I am going to talk about how to export this user data in WSO2 identity server to marketing platforms. So for that purpose, we have developed a bulk user export tool, which is a Java client. From this tool, we can import the user data in WSO2 identity server into CSV files, and from these CSV files, we can import these CSV files into different marketing platforms, as they have already given support for that. So um, so currently we have documented this tool on our product documentation. So if anyone is interested, they can go on the learn in tutorials. Under provisioning, there's a section called account syncing. In there, we have documented on how to use this tool to export user identities into different marketing platforms. So we have also documented information on how to import on some different some popular marketing platforms such as HubSpot, MailChimp, etc. So, and also the source code of this tool is currently hosted in our samples repository. So in the samples repository, there's a separate component called bulk user export tool inside this tool. So in here also we have documented how to use this tool and how to build it from source, those information. So today my main focus is to uh, show you how to use this tool to export user data from WSO2 identity server. So first, as I have mentioned in the documentation also, so first we will have to download this bulk use export tool. So if you download it, yeah, it will download as a zip file. I have already downloaded this zip file. Then what you have to do is extract this zip file, and after you extract this zip file, you might be able to see a folder like this, and inside this folder we have this tool and also a script. So what you have to do is start running this script. So yeah, first run the script. So then it will prompt you to provide the tenant qualified host address of the API. So currently by this tool, we are using our SCIM endpoint to get the user data. So in underline, it will call the SCIM endpoint, but we will have to provide the base path for this API. So for my case, I have hosted a WSO2 identity server in my local environment. So I will use that local address. So then you will have to enter valid username. That user should be able to access the SCIM endpoint of the WSO2 identity server. So currently I will be using the admin user. So and the password. After that, so in here we will have to provide the CV file location that we want to save this file. So if this is an optional parameter, so if you need to save this file in somewhere you want a specific location, you can point it in here. If not, it will automatically create a file inside the tools folder with name users.csv. So and then you can also define some attributes if you need to filter. So in this case, if I define ID, username, name attributes, so it will only filter these attributes from this server response, and it will create a CSV file with these attributes. So and also you can point attributes to exclude. That means attributes that so you can use other one of these two. If you define attributes to filter, then you must not use these attributes to exclude. So if you are going to use exclude, you don't want to use the filter one. So one way around you can use. So for this I have used this filter to ID, username and name. So currently I will keep this as blank. So then as you can see, so a log will be written that this information is written to the users.csv file. So if you open, so you can see that a CSV file with the name, information, ID and username is created. So then I will do a small demo on how to use this exclude one. So in here also let's put look. So for this we can give another name for this CSV file. So if we are going to exclude, so I will so in here we don't put any attributes to filter. We will use this exclude one. So in here, if we excluded the ID of the username, so ID of the users, so as you can, if you check, so this another file is created with users excluded attribute. So as you can see in this CSV file, we don't have the ID. All the other information is there, groups, phone numbers, profile URL, likewise. So then, so this is how we export this user data in WSO2 identity server into users CSV file. Then I will show you how to export this, how to import this data into a marketing platform. So for this demonstration, I will be using Soho CRM. So in there, you will have to create a, you will have to create an account, and from there, you can import this user information as contacts into this marketing platform. In here, under import, so you can press import contacts. From there, you will have to select the CSV file that you created with user data. So and click next. So in here, so the created CSV file have only the given name, family name, and the username. So if we are going to create this with this, so we can put this as account name, and if we can, so in here, this side shows the fields in the CSV file, and this side shows what are the fields that in the Soho CRM. So we can do a mapping with these fields in this side, the fields in the file and the fields in the Soho CRM, and create contacts. So in this file that I created, it has only these 4 fields. So with this, you can do a import. So, and click next. So as you can see, import will be scheduled, and it will take a small time to import these contacts, and you can, after a while, you will be able to see a pop-up like this. So this contacts imported successfully. So from there, if you refresh this page, so you will be able to see that all the accounts with contact names, account name is imported. So in this case, we didn't import email or phone number. So in here, it doesn't show up. So yeah, that's about my demo. So you can post any questions related to this tool in our Slack channel, or if you want, you can post them in our live feeds comment section. And also, if you have any issues or improvements while using this issue, you can create issues in our Git repo related to this tool. And also, for your reference, I have written a blog on this also, on exporting user data from WSO2 identity server. So this blog will explain how to export user data from WSO2 identity server to Salesforce platform. So you can also refer this also. Yeah, that's it. Over to you, Vishal.
Okay, thank you, Mabel. So links to these both repos are available in the description of the YouTube. So our next session is about the advanced adaptive authentication use cases. So I think most of you know what is adaptive authentication and what is multi-factor authentication. So with the multi-factor authentication, you get the chance to define a static but strong authentication flow. But most of the use cases to provide appealing but secured authentication flow, we have to use adaptive authentication. So we can orchestrate between different authentication mechanisms based on the context information we have. With the identity server adaptive authentication feature, you have the luxury to define your own adaptive authentication flows. So most of the time, you get a set of capabilities to manage these strong authentication mechanisms and configure it different ways. But since we have that script-based approach, so you can write your own script to manage it. At the same time, we provide a set of templates with the product, so you can either use these templates or define your own adaptive authentication script. In today's discussion, I think Senthalan going to discuss about our adaptive authentication feature and build advanced adaptive authentication use cases on top of adaptive authentication support we provide within the product. Senthalan, over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. So, okay, hi everyone. So as Ishara mentioned, so adaptive authentication is a functionality we are like providing to have like which allows the developers full control over the authentication flow. So as Shara mentioned, so authentication flow can be controlled using the adaptive authentication script. So we are using the JavaScript syntaxes for that. Here the authentication can be controlled by the user's attribute, user's behavior, or the level of assurance, or the risk, or the machine learning algorithms. When we say control, we can like control the authentication step. What are the steps to be selected? What are the authenticators to be executed in a step? And we can change the user's attribute. We can send SMS, sorry, email notification. We can redirect the users to the error page. And other than this, we can like add more actions if we like want. So this is the basic syntax of the authentication script. So before diving into that, I will like walk you through some sequence diagram. Let's say the user comes in and he will be like prompted with a step. And here we will have like two possibilities. The user provides correct username password or the credentials. So it's a success. And or the user enters wrong credentials. So here we will go into a fail path. So our adaptive authentication syntax is based on like these decisions. So the user comes in, so that will be the on init request, and after that we will be prompted with a particular step. So that will be the execute step 1, and there we will have two possibilities, whether that's on success or on failure. So depending on this flow, we can like convert this to the adaptive authentication script very easily. So today I will like start with a very simple example, let's say, and show how we can like first make it to a simple flow diagram, and then how we can like write the authentication, adaptive authentication script by the help of our documentations. So I will like select a simple dispatch application. So my use case is only the users with manager role can access to this application. So we will like ask the user to come in, and we will like execute the from the first step. Let's say the basic. So here, if the user fails, we don't like do anything. We will like ask the user to retry the flow. And if he is success, we will like get the user. First we will like get the user and check whether who is authenticated. Then we can like, we will check the role of the user, whether he has the manager's role. If he don't have it, let's say if the manager don't have, so if the user don't have the manager role, we will like send him to an error page with the detailed error message. or if he has the manager role, we can like redirect him to the application. So we can pass the authentication. Okay. So for that, let's go to the management console. So here I have like already created a manager user, and this John have this role. I have already set up an OIDC application. So it's an OIDC application, it's already configured. And if we go here in the local and outbound configuration, the authentication type is default. So that means he will be prompted with basic authentication. So let's now configure this advanced configuration. So here we will be like prompted to select a step. So we want one step, and that step need to be the basic. And after that, we need to like write the authentication script. Like as Shara mentioned, we have these set of predefined templates you can like use, but let's try to build this from scratch and understand how we can do it. So let's say how here we are in the step 1, and we need to get the user. If the user is successfully authenticated, so we will like create a event handler to this on success and function and context. So we are now in this step. So the steps come, and then we need to get the user who have entered the current credentials. To do that, we have providing this adaptive authentication API references. Here we have like documented all the core functionalities, utility functions, and API references. So here, this execute step callback have this context object. From there, we need to get the user. So like I will assume we can get the user. So we have the context, and from the context, what we can do is we can get all the steps. So but here I want the first step. Then I have this step object. From the step object, I need to get the authenticated user's information. So that will be the subject. Okay, so I have completed this one. And after that, I need to check the role of this user. So for that, we have this user object. Here we can get the user's role list and check whether this user has the manager role. So without this, we have a utility function for this. We check. We have some set of utility functions that have like some particular use cases. So here we have one to check this user has this role. Okay, so I will check like this manager check manager flag. I will pass the user. I will pass the role name as manager. Okay, then I will like check if it's not manager. So we done this part. So we are going in this path. So if it's false, we need to send the user to an error page. So you check the utility functions. We have send error message, send error utility method. So we can like use that. So as you see, it accepts the URL and parameters. So I will provide URL as null. So it will be redirected to our a default error page. I will put the status as unauthorized. Status message as not have. Okay, so we done this part as well. So the else part will be allowing the authentication. So if we are not like blocking the user, he will be authenticated. Okay, let's update this, and I will go to this application and let's try to login as Alex, who don't have the manager role. So here I will be redirected to the error page I have provided in the script. Okay, let's go back and login as John, who have the manager role. Now I will be redirected to the application. Okay, now let's improve this use case. Let's say even if it's a manager, we need to like verify the manager if he is logging in from a new device using a second factor. So if so, the use case comes to this true part. So we need to like check whether it's already used device. So if it's not, so if it's false, we need to like execute a second step. Let's say TOTP. And if the user like provided the correct TOTP, we will like mark as used device and allow the authentication. Okay. So if the user, if the identified device is already used device, so this will be the true, then here we will also allow. Okay. So let's see how we can achieve this. So in this case, as you can see, so as it's the browser based one, we can like we can find out whether it's a used device or not using the browser cookie. Okay. So let's achieve this use case using a browser cookie. So in this case, we need a second step, and that will be TOTP, and this will be executed only if the user is logging in from a new device. Okay. So we will like go here. So this comes in the else part of the script. Okay, and I will like create a flag saying is with cookie, and I will like say we have a method like this called validate cookie that will return whether the cookie is valid or not. So if it's not a valid cookie, so now here in this path, so here we need to execute the second step. Okay, so on the second step success, what we need to do is we need to mark this cookie as the used device. So mark this device as a used device. So we can do it by persisting a cookie with this username. So for that, we can like use this set cookie method. So that will accept the response. So we can get the response from the context. And we need to have a name for that cookie. Provide it as a cookie name. So, and let's make it as a global variable. And here we need to pass the username as the cookie value. So I will get the username. So this will give us the username that's authenticated in the first step. So to pass this user to this second step's callback, you need to make this user as a global variable, and only it can be accessed in the callback. So I will like event it as a null as a global variable. So when the first step executes, it will be set, and we can like reuse it here. And here we will like pass some extra parameters to say validate the cookie. So I will like have this syntax ready. So I will like use this. So as you can see, so we are like adding some extra parameters saying ask the cookie to sign it and set the message. So I will set the message as 1 year. So here, if we don't have a valid cookie, we will execute the second step, and on the success, we will set the cookie. Okay, and let's write this validate cookie method. I have already written it for time constraint. So we have this validate cookie method. So what we're going to do is it will like get the cookie from the request and validate the signature and get the cookie value. If the cookie value is same as the username, we are going to return true. So that will go to the true part, and we will have the authentication. Save this. Oh, sorry. I forgot to add this second step TOTP. Okay, and here I will log out from the dispatch. I will log in as John. Taking the script. So I will like I will paste the already created script. It's like some syntax issue. Okay. So I will looking as John. So now it will be prompted with the TOTP. Will provide the okay, now I am logged in, and I log out and log in again as John. So now in that time, I am not prompted with the second step as this takes this path. So from that, you will get an idea like how we can like make our complex authentication scenarios to this simple flow chart. And then we can like easily map this to the authentication flow, because our adaptive authentication is based on this approach. Like, and also like, you can like refer to this documentation. And if you feel like the utility function provided here is not enough for your use case, you can always write your own utility function. So we have a block for the documentation for this. So let's say if you want to like define a JavaScript method called bar method in your adaptive script with that expect these three arguments, you need to create a Java interface with this bar method and corresponding arguments, and make sure these arguments are serializable, and then create a Java implementation for this method and do the logics in Java, and then make it as an OSA component and register it as implementation method with the method name that will be exposed to the JavaScript. Then in the adaptive authentication, you can like use this bar method and achieve some complex functionalities if that complex that can't be like doing the adaptive script itself. So I hope this gives you an understanding of how we can like easily solve the complex authentication scenarios to like think how we can like write the scripts from the scenarios, you can like always try to like go for an intermediate state to figure out the flow. Then you can like easily write a authentication script. So that's it from my side. Over to Shah.
Okay, thank you, Senta, for doing a live adaptive authentication demo. I think there are many articles, documents about how to use adaptive authentication and different use cases around adaptive authentication. Maybe in the future we can do a separate session for the adaptive authentication, and then we can see different use cases there. Maybe in the future we can arrange, so we can ask the organization team to arrange that thing. I like to discuss a bit about the product release. Santa, can you stop the sharing so I can share my screen? Let me try to share the screen. Yes. So at the moment, we are working on the identity server 5.11 or release. So we have completed the 5.11 or beta. Nipuni was the release manager. So she has already sent the release mail as well. So if you have time, please download the alpha pack and try it out and share your feedback with us. Or even if you find any issues, please create a git issue for that thing so we can fix those things before the product release. So that's all we have planned to discuss today. So before the end of this call, I like to remind you again about the Internet Identity Workshop discount code, which is still available in the description, in the YouTube description. So if you wish to join the event, please use that code and use that code and get a discount. So that's all for the today discussion. So thank you for joining in again. So hope to see you again in the next community call. Thank you, everyone.